Ever pondered on the question, who was the most brutal dictator in history? To answer that, we first need to understand what we mean by dictator. A dictator, simply put, is a ruler who wields absolute authority, often obtained and maintained by force. They are known for their oppressive regimes where personal freedoms are squashed and dissent is met with swift and severe punishment. But how do we measure brutality? Is it by the number of lives tragically lost under their rule? Or perhaps the extent to which personal freedoms were suppressed? Maybe it's the severity and length of their reign. The answer is not so straightforward, as each dictator left their own unique, indelible mark on history. However, it's crucial to remember that brutality isn't a competition. Rather, it's a grim reflection of the darkest corners of human nature, a testament to the depths humanity can sink when power goes unchecked. When talking about brutal dictators, it's impossible to overlook Genghis Khan. This Mongol leader, born in the 12th century, is still a figure of legend and fear. Genghis Khan's reign was marked by a relentless drive for expansion, a thirst for power, and a disregard for human life that left an indelible mark on history. Genghis Khan, born as Temujin, was not just a conqueror, but a creator of empires. Under his leadership, the Mongols created an empire that stretched from the eastern shores of China to the heartlands of Eastern Europe, a vast expanse of land that had never before been ruled by a single entity. This was an empire built on horseback, with speed and mobility being the keys to its success. Yet, the creation of this empire came at an enormous cost. Genghis Khan's tactics were brutal and unforgiving. Cities that resisted were decimated, their inhabitants slaughtered or enslaved. It is said that he caused the deaths of as many as 40 million people, a staggering number that makes him one of the deadliest leaders in human history. This brutality was not just a byproduct of his conquests, but a deliberate strategy. Genghis Khan knew that the fear he instilled in his enemies could be as effective as his armies. His reputation for savagery preceded him, causing many cities to surrender without a fight. The terror he inspired was a weapon as powerful as the bow and arrow. Yet, despite his brutality, Genghis Khan left a lasting legacy. He established a code of laws, promoted trade, and even introduced a postal system across his empire. His descendants would go on to rule vast territories, shaping the history of regions from Russia to China. Genghis Khan, a name that even centuries later still echoes with the chilling winds of the Mongolian steppe. His reign was a time of blood and fire, of fear and awe, and his story serves as a stark reminder of the heights and depths to which human ambition can lead. Moving forward in time, we encounter a dictator whose name is synonymous with brutality, Adolf Hitler. Born in Austria in 1889, Hitler's early life was marked by a burning resentment, a resentment that would later fuel his rise to power in Germany. Driven by a vision of racial purity and spatial expansion, Hitler capitalized on the economic unrest and national humiliation following World War I to ascend to the position of German Chancellor in 1933. Once in power, Hitler wasted no time in implementing his vision. His policies aimed at the systematic extermination of those he deemed undesirable or inferior. This was the genesis of the final solution, a chilling euphemism for the genocide of 6 million Jews during the Holocaust. The horror of Hitler's reign wasn't confined to concentration camps and gas chambers. His aggressive foreign policies and expansionist ideology plunged the world into the second global conflict in less than 30 years. World War II, as it is known today, was a cataclysm of unprecedented scale, resulting in the deaths of an estimated 70 million people, or roughly 3% of the world's population at that time. The impact of Hitler's reign was not just confined to the loss of life. It reshaped the world's political, economic, and ethical landscape. The Holocaust led to a global reevaluation of human rights and genocide, culminating in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations in 1948. The war also resulted in the division of Germany and the onset of the Cold War, a geopolitical conflict that lasted for the better part of the 20th century. Adolf Hitler, a dictator whose legacy continues to serve as a stark reminder of the horrors of hatred. His story is a testament to the devastation that can be wrought when power is seized by those who value ideology over humanity. It is a lesson we must never forget, for the cost of ignorance is far too high. In the annals of history, few dictators have left a scar as deep as Pol Pot. His reign over Cambodia during the latter half of the 20th century stands as a chilling testament to the darkest depths of human cruelty. Pol Pot, born as Saloth Sar, rose to power as the leader of the Khmer Rouge, a radical communist movement. His vision was to transform Cambodia into a self-sustaining agrarian utopia, free from foreign influence and modern technology. But the reality of this vision was far from idyllic. In pursuit of this dream, Pol Pot enacted a brutal regime of forced labor and mass re-education. Cities were emptied as millions were driven into the countryside to toil in labor camps. Intellectuals, professionals, and anyone perceived as a threat to the regime were systematically targeted. Even wearing glasses or speaking a foreign language could be a death sentence. The cruelty of Pol Pot's regime, however, extended far beyond these measures. The genocide under his rule resulted in the death of nearly a quarter of the Cambodian population. Men, women, and children were subjected to torture, starvation, and execution. The infamous killing fields serve as a grim reminder of the countless lives lost in this dark chapter of Cambodian history. Yet the impact of Pol Pot's reign didn't end with his death. The scars of his brutal regime remain etched in the psyche of the Cambodian people. The country still grapples with the aftermath of his rule, struggling to overcome the economic and social devastation left in its wake. Pol Pot's radical vision led to one of the most horrific genocides in history, a stark reminder of the destructive power of unchecked authoritarianism. His regime was not just a reign, it was a reign of terror, one that decimated a nation and its people. Pol Pot, a dictator whose reign of terror changed the course of a nation forever. From the vast plains of Mongolia to the heart of Europe and the fields of Cambodia, brutality has known no boundaries. We've journeyed through time, tracing the paths of three of history's most brutal dictators. Genghis Khan, whose name became synonymous with fear, as he established the largest contiguous empire in history. Adolf Hitler, who, driven by a dangerous ideology, plunged the world into a war that cost millions of lives. Then, Pol Pot, the architect of the Cambodian genocide, who wrought havoc on his own people in the name of a radical agrarian revolution. Each of these dictators left an indelible mark on history, a testament to the depths of human cruelty when power is unchecked. Yet, in reflecting upon their reigns, we glean valuable lessons. Lessons of resilience, of the human spirit's capacity to endure, and most importantly, of the dire need for vigilance against the rise of such tyranny. The pages of history may be littered with the tales of brutal dictators, but by remembering and learning, we can hope to prevent such horrors from repeating.